Hi pen fans, this is your personal pen maker, Brian at the Edison Pen Company, edisonpen.com. Hey, I'm very happy to announce that we now have some unique rollerball options. We are going to have this option where essentially the same grip section will be able to accommodate both a fountain pen nib as well as a rollerball nose cone and a refill. So essentially what that means is you wouldn't need to switch out a grip section, you wouldn't need to switch out any components except for the nib and the nose cone, and you'll have both a fountain pen and a rollerball in the same pen. Interesting concept, and this will only work with our number 6 nibbed pens, just so everybody is aware. And I need to give credit and thanks to my friend Jonathan Brooks with the Carolina Pen Company. I think a lot of you already know who he is. A very skilled pen maker and also a very skilled material maker. A lot of you already know that Jonathan provides us with a lot of his amazing materials, and we're very thankful for that fact in itself. But Jonathan was instrumental in helping me to hatch this whole concept. So I need to give credit and thanks to Jonathan. Additionally, this concept is also available on his pens. So if you like this concept, be sure to head over to Carolina Pen Company and have a look at Jonathan's offerings as well. So all that being said, let me show you how this rollerball combo, rollerball fountain pen combo works. Okay, so later in this video, I'll get into a lot more details behind the engineering and a lot of the finer details behind this whole concept. But for now, let me just show you how your Edison pen can be converted to a rollerball. So this is an Elysian, and this is actually because you'll see that this is printed on here. That's just simply because this is one of the models that we take with us to pen shows that people can try out. So that's why actually most of the rollerballs that I'll show you are going to be these demonstrators that we bring with us to pen shows, just because it's going to be a little bit easier. So you receive your Edison fountain pen that is in fountain pen mode currently. Your pen will come with this box, and this box is going to be your fountain pen / rollerball conversion kit, and inside that box will be this spring, this refill, and this nose cone. So let's convert this pen to a rollerball. We're going to unscrew the section, remove the converter, set it aside, unscrew the nib, and then you probably want to flush out the nib just to make sure that the nib doesn't dry up while it's being stored. And while it's and in order to store it, you can certainly use this exact same box to store your converter and your nib. So now let's make this into a rollerball, and we'll do so by taking the nose cone and screwing it into the grip section, the exact same grip section that this fountain pen nib goes into. Drop a spring into the barrel, drop in your refill, and now here is an Elysian rollerball. But of course, as I said earlier, this won't be just the Elysian. We can do this in the Pearl, the Brockton, the Herald, the Beaumont, the 76, the Glenmont, the Collier, the Comet, and the Menlo. So really, this is a concept that's going to work seamlessly and beautifully with all of our models that take a number 6 nib. Now, I'm sure that everybody will want to know what refills are compatible with these pens, and the refills will be any of those being the G2 style. So we are providing our pens with Uniball 207 gel refills, but they will also work with Pilot G2s, Pentel LR7s, and there's dozens and dozens of other G2 style refills that'll work with this. The bottom line is if your refill is looking along these lines, most likely it's a G2, and it will work just fine with this pen. I do not have a complete list yet of every single rollerball refill that is compatible, but I will be looking into it. And if you are unsure about a refill, feel free to send me an email and I'll at least give you whatever information I have at that time. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will ask, well, the spring, what happens if I lose this spring? Bottom line is that if you ever lose the spring, just contact us and we'll send you one at no charge. We might ask you to cover our shipping costs, but it won't be any problem to replace the spring. I understand that it might not, from an engineering standpoint, it's not ideal to have a rollerball spring, but I could find no other way to engineer this pen that would accommodate a converter and a refill without some kind of separate component that would make up the space that the converter would usually take. So in this case, it does need to be a spring, but don't worry if you ever misplace it, just reach out and we'll take good care of you. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will want to know, now what's this going to cost? And actually, I'm proud to say it really is kind of an economical add-on. So what we'll be doing is there's really three options and three ways that we could get you set up with a rollerball. One is that you buy a brand new Edison pen and you want your pen to be rollerball convertible. For that, you know, we'll send along the conversion kit. We will engineer the correct grip section that will take both components, and we'll ask $35 as an add-on to that. Now, option number two, let's say that you own an Edison pen and you would like to convert this over to a rollerball or have the rollerball option. No problem at all. We can certainly do that as well. We will need to build an entirely new section, however. So what we're going to do is charge $80 for that, along with 7 return shipping. And I say return shipping because the best way to do this is to have if you want that done to an existing Edison pen, you really need to send us the pen so that we can make sure that your new section is going to be a perfect thread and mechanical mate with the rest of your pen. For instance, if you own an Edison pen from 12 years ago, I can't make an absolute 100% guarantee that the threads are all going to be 100% compatible. They might be a little tight, they might be a little loose. So for that reason, sending it back to us means that we can custom fit this new section to whichever Edison pen that you would like to send to us. Then option number 3, if somebody did want this to be an entirely dedicated rollerball, we can do that. And then that will simply be the exact same price as what the fountain pen version would be. Now, why would you want to do that? If you are a rollerball aficionado and you have no need to ever use this as a fountain pen, then there would be no spring involved. So what we would do is we would simply adjust the interior bore of this pen to be more shallow so that the rollerball refill will stop at the correct place for it to be in the perfect position. So the only reason you might want to do that is if you're positive you'd never use it as a fountain pen and you'd like to not have a spring. Now, I will say in that configuration, however, if you wanted to, you could still use that pen as an eyedropper or with a short cartridge. So I suppose that if you did want a dedicated rollerball and you wanted to avoid the spring, you still have a fountain pen option, but it would not involve a converter. It would be eyedropper only, or eyedropper or short cartridge only. There is one minor detail that I'll discuss, and this is not going to be an issue within probably a month or even less of when this video is being published. But as of right now, the date that this video is being published, I only have these nose cones in rhodium plated. Gold is on the way. So if you're watching this a month or so after this video is published, we will have gold options. And then, of course, I'm showing all these in our, solid black demonstrators that we take to pen shows. But of course, custom orders, that's what we're all about. So this is a Brockton in Jonathan Brooks Fubuki Koi as a nice rollerball, which could also be a fountain pen. This is an Elysian in Sonoran Sunset, which is making a nice rollerball. Looks like I didn't put a refill in that one, but that's okay. The refill is right here. This is a Collier in Tim Crow, Arizona Abalone. Has a nice rollerball. And lastly, I'll just show you real quickly. Here's a Beaumont in Jonathan Brooks, Blue Abalone. Okay, I wanted to take a minute to discuss the overall design of this section, and the purpose of this portion of the video is really just to ensure people that there is no compromise to the fountain pen side of this section due to this design that will also accommodate a rollerball. One of my fears in trying to engineer this is, a fountain pen housing really needs to be well supported with the interior structure of the section. And if that doesn't happen, that could lead to problems. And so the bottom line is that I'm going to illustrate how the fountain pen section is well supported. If this is a detail that doesn't matter to you, then feel free to go along to the next chapter of this video. But if you're interested in kind of the finer details of the engineering, feel free to stick around here. So this is one of our just standard sections, and I'll go to a cross view that shows, or a cross section that shows the interior of this. Now, so these are the threads for the fountain pen, and these are the threads for the rollerball version. In order to keep a fountain pen nib housing fully supported, there's a couple spots that are really critical. Of course, it's going to be the fountain pen housing threads, and this bore right here, and then up here at the top. This is also going to be very critical because that means you're going to have full support on this end of the housing, and you're going to have full support on this end of the housing. And I'm very happy to say that these tolerances and these dimensions do not change at all between the two sections. And then up here, there's a little bit of change to this profile, of course, because these threads need to clear the fountain pen housing section. But at this point right here is where this really matters. And when we engineer these fountain pen sections, basically we have a tolerance of about 2/1000 at that location. That means that if we'll use what's called a go-no-go gauge, and we'll take measurements, and if that bore is off by 2/1000 or more, then it's rejected. And if it's less than 2/1000, then it's a good section. I'm happy to say that the exact same tolerance and the exact same internal dimension required for the fountain pen housing also works perfectly well here for the rollerball nib. So that might be some technical engineering and machining terms, but the bottom line with all of this is I just wanted to show how this design truly does not lead to any kind of issue with stability and support to the fountain pen nib housing. All right, I wanted to cover the topic of changing out fountain pen nibs. This could be a pretty important topic for people that aren't really that experienced with this. Now, for those of you that feel comfortable with changing out fountain pen nibs, really, it is mostly common sense, but seeing as though I've never really done a tutorial video on this, it's not gonna hurt to introduce this topic here. And then this, of course, would apply not just for Edison pens, but really any fountain pen that has a typical screw-in nib. So I think many of you are already aware of how this works, but there are some important details that I'll cover at the end that I'm willing to guess most people are not aware of. So very simple. Basically, you will grab the fountain pen nib low on the feed. So you want to grab, and kind of pinch in this area from the top of the nib and the back of the feed. You don't want to grab it up here. If you do this, then you risk twisting the tines. All right, so you grab this right here, and then you're simply going to hold on to the nib itself and unscrew the section. It really is very simple, and it's common sense. And then to reinstall it, you're going to screw this back in, and then the torque that you want to use really is just, you don't want to over tighten this. You just want to use enough torque that it's not going to spontaneously unscrew on its own while you are writing. So don't over tighten these nibs. Now, the issue can arise where, let's say that you haven't over tightened these nibs, but you've had the pen for a while and you go to unscrew this nib with these, safe techniques, and it just won't move. I want to cover something that is important when it comes to how much torque should you add when you're trying this. So I'm going to remove the nib from the section just so I can get a good grip on it. So imagine that the section is still attached here, but it's kind of important that when you grab a nib like this, and I'm going to give this view, if you're twisting with enough torque that you're rotating the nib by about 10 to 15 degrees, you really need to back off because you're applying too much torque. You're probably going to twist the tines, and then you create an alignment issue, and then your nib is going to write kind of scratchy. It's not going to feel right, and you're going to have a problem. So don't go more than about 10 or 15 degrees if it is stuck. If you look at the tines and you can see that they're starting to do this and move and cross over each other as you're attempting this, back off, all right? So what do you do in that situation? So the most likely scenario, if that's going on, is that you could have some ink that has caked inside the section interior between the housing and the section, and it's probably creating some stickiness in there. So the first thing that I recommend is you can take a typical bulb syringe. I think that most fountain pen users own these because they're fantastic for flushing nibs. You can snip the snout to just be a little bit shorter, which of course makes it wider. And then when you place the snout on the back of this grip section, it's going to create a seal to the back of the section. If you didn't snip off the tip of the bulb syringe, then it would be sealing the back of the housing. And if it seals the back of the housing, you're going to push water through the feed, but not the outside, not the little gaps in between the section of the housing. So by snipping this off and squeezing water through, then you're going to assure that a portion of the water is going to get in between the housing and the section, and then hopefully that's going to loosen up some of that dried and caked ink. After you've done this, then soak this unit in lukewarm room temperature water for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Then go back and give this a try again. If the problem was caked ink, then that should take care of it. Now, if it's still stuck, the next step is to use hot water. However, I want to be very clear with a warning on this because normal acrylics, like our regular acrylics, technically they're polymethyl methacrylate, or what's known as PMMA, their heat deflection point is well over 200 Fahrenheit. I mean, it's almost up to boiling. And by heat deflection point, what I mean is at what temperature will this material start to deform from heat? So regular acrylic, no problem. Use regular hot water out of your tap and you'll certainly be fine. But there can be an issue with Alumilite, or what we call craft material. So like this is a craft material made by Jonathan Brooks. We also have Tim Crow. We also have Lisa Marie Bradley. And these are a different composition than our regular acrylics. And their heat deformation point can be as low as about 130 Fahrenheit. Now, if you're going to dip this in super hot water, you could literally cause this grip section to deform from the heat. And of course, that's going to be a big problem. So the typical tap water that comes out of everybody's tap is probably set to be between 125 and 140. So if you're using normal tap water that is cranked all the way hot and you let this soak in there for a good while, you could create a problem based on the heat deformation point, and you could literally deform the section. So if your pen needs heat to remove the nib or unscrew the nib, I'd recommend that, first of all, you could use a kitchen thermometer, get hot water out of your tap, and then check the temperature to make sure that it's below, let's say 130, and then let it soak. Or you could certainly just take a glass of water, fill it maybe 3/4 full of the hottest water you can get, and then 1/4 full of cold water. That should give you a decent temperature. I think another good way to do this is that, if you put your finger in the water and you really can't keep it there for more than a couple of seconds, that might be too hot for an Alumilite pen or a pen that we call craft. We call these materials craft materials. So I wanted to cover that. The heat should definitely help with any kind of a stuck nib. But if your pen is made from material like this, you need to be aware that super hot water could create a real problem with that. And of course, this doesn't apply to just Edison pens. This applies to any pen that is made from this same material. This is also another reason that you might see a lot of pen makers, such as we do this, with every pen made from this, especially that are shipped in the very hot summer. We usually include a letter that says, hey, make sure that this pen does not sit in the dash of your car or sit in a very super hot environment, because you could really create a problem with this. So if after that you've attempted to remove this nib and it's still stuck, then contact us. Or if it's not an Edison pen, then contact the manufacturer of the pen. So that's how to remove, how to change out nibs. I thought it was important to cover this, not just for the rollerball topic, but just as a general topic for fountain pens, and I hope you found that useful. Okay, a little bit of a continuity error. You'll notice that my beard's a little better trimmed. I'm wearing a different shirt. Obviously, I'm recording this portion on a different day. Last topic, current inventory. A lot of people, we keep at any given time usually well more than 400 pens that are currently inventoried, ready to ship immediately with no waiting through our custom backlog. And those pens are typically ready to ship same day, or worst case is usually before lunch the next day. So immediate shipping. Can these current inventory pens also be the fountain pen rollerball combinations? The answer is yes. Just give us 1 or 2 business days to manufacture a new section, and we will take the new section, we'll run it through our quality control measures, make sure that it's up to our standards, and then we'll be ready to ship your pen. So current inventory, no problem with this combination concept. Just give us 1 or 2 business days to manufacture the correct section for that pen. So, a little bit of a longer video. Thank you for sticking around till the end. Wherever you're watching this, please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. This is a bit of a departure for us. We've done almost solely fountain pens since the beginning of the Edison Pen Company. We did offer rollerballs a long time ago, but that was I think more than 12 years ago. So please let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching this. I appreciate it, and have a great day.